So welcome, Ilana. I'm really excited to have you with us today.
Thank you for having me.
So you're an expert in NLP and money mindset, and I'm really interested to ask you all about how women can start to challenge and overcome any money mindset that they have, because I see it's one of the things that, as we were talking about just before we came live, money touches everything, and it's definitely making those investments and charging our worth are the two things that I see holding women back a lot in business. So I'm really can't wait to speak to you about that. But I'd love it if you could just introduce everyone, all our listeners, to you, and perhaps do that through sharing your personal business story. How did you get to become a money mindset coach?
Hi. I basically needed to go for money coaching. I grew up without money. I grew up in South Africa and we grew up quite poor. And I didn't understand the value of money. I didn't understand what spending money on a credit card was. I literally missed the lessons because I come from a completely dysfunctional family. I missed there weren't any lessons on how to handle money and how to respect money and how to create money. And I overcompensated when I had children because I wanted my kids to have what I never had. So therefore, I got us into quite a lot of credit card debt, where if one credit card was full, I'd use the next credit card. And it caused a very unhappy husband who was very unhappy with me most of the time, because he would tell me that the amount on top of the credit card was the limit and not the target. And I must stop trying to get the target every month. If the credit card was 10 grand, 20 grand, I would reach there in no time. Literally, not understanding why, but buying for the children whatever I wanted to get them, from designer clothes to, and I'm talking children from babies, to very expensive birthday parties, very expensive gifts, holidays, because these were all the things that I never had. And a friend actually suggested that I go for money coaching, and I was not interested. I did a money quiz and I saw that I was martyr and victim and innocent, and I just didn't like any of those names, and I said, I put it off. I put it off and literally fought it. And eventually I decided that I needed to go and sort my money out. When I did the money coaching, I had the most amazing transformations in my life. I saw, we learned where it all started, how I got into this position. I got to understand a lot of very deep-rooted behaviors that I had developed. And what I always say is our parents basically tell us, look, learn and repeat. We don't kind of need to repeat the stuff that they've repeated. A lot of our parents have been, or grandparents have been through the war. So there's a lot of scarcity mentality. There isn't that now. Well, there is in some countries, but there wasn't necessarily in my life. So you learn, I learned how to basically take control of my money, how to take control of things that had happened that I was able to deal with and put behind me. And when I was doing the course, I then decided, I've always had my own business in South Africa. I was involved in marketing and I had my own property letting agency. And I decided after I did the money coaching, that I knew that I had friends and other women that I knew that were going through money difficulties. I realized that this is something that I could actually help other women. That when they understand their money, they can create money in their business. They can create opportunities. I always saw money, like I never understood the concept of saving for your pension. I always thought it was a sacrifice. The money's here now, I want to spend it. I never realized that it was my money that I was putting away for my future. I wanted to spend it now. So by studying further and becoming a coach, I realized that I could help women open up a lot of doors, especially in their business, because money mindset affects every area of your life. It's an addiction. Money is not only an energy, it can be an addiction. For me, as I said, with the shopping. For other women, where there's no emotional connection, where it's detached from the emotional connection that you have in your life, you find a way to fulfill that. For me, in actual fact, it wasn't only the shopping, it was also food. The minute I got my money sorted, I dropped 13 kilos in a couple of months, because the emotional, what you're looking for emotionally, often, well, we know money can't buy, but you keep going to those addictions.
Wow, that's amazing. And I see that a lot with women, that they've gone through an experience that then they want to pass that experience on to more people, and that's how they've built their business. And it's wonderful to see that you've done the same thing, but have, yeah, I mean, what an incredible transformation you had. And I think it's something that's feels quite common. I know me personally, I grew up, my father left when I was very young, and my mum always struggled, even though my father paid his payments, and generously so. He never held back in that respect, but it was still a struggle. And so that's what I've really equated money to, that it's always a struggle. And it's never going to be free and easy. And I have a fear of opening envelopes, because that was my mum's things. Like, she hated opening envelopes. So it's something that I've been working on as well. But it holds you back in so many different ways, and it can get you into trouble is one thing. But also, because it touches different areas of your life, then have you seen it holding people back in their careers, with their business, with their health even?
Very much so. There's so much fear wrapped around money. And you just mentioned one that a lot of women go through. One of the archetypes, and I talk about archetypes because it's part of what I've studied, the Carl Jung, who's a Swiss psychiatrist and philosopher from many years ago. He teaches about archetypes. And one of the archetypes that show up a lot in women are the innocent. And the innocent is very much somebody who, exactly what you mentioned, and I did it as well, and so many women did, put the envelopes in the drawer and don't pay the bills until the end of the month. They pay it grudgingly. I always say to my clients, pay the invoice when it arrives, because that's how you want somebody to pay your invoices when you send them invoices. There's a lot of women that have got fear, so much fear around money, fear about the future, fear about what's going to happen to them. Will there be enough money for my children to study? I always say the fool, which is one of the archetypes, is always thinking about where's the next party, what are we doing on Saturday night. He's not thinking about the next generation or the generation thereafter. And I always try and say to my clients, even from, if it's 20 francs a week, whatever it is, put into savings. That's your money. It's not somebody's taking away from you. I was saying a while ago, I was telling the ladies, I was saying, to save 10,000 a year sounds like a lot of money. Imagine saving 10,000 a year, but literally it's 27 francs 40 a day. Now think about it. When the shops are open, you go into town, you stop and have a coffee and a lunch, guarantee you, or pop in at the shop and buy stuff that you actually don't need. You've already got it home. You're going to spend more than 27.40 a day. 27.40 a day is 10,000 at the end of the year, and people say they can't save. I don't have money to save. And what's been quite amazing with a lot of my clients over this time with the lockdown, some of them have really excelled in their business and have taken opportunities and done amazingly well, seeing that I'm saving money now because the shops are closed, which has been fantastic for me, because some of them have really curbed their spending, and others have said, I can't do this, the lockdown has happened, there's nobody's buying, nobody's doing anything. And a lot of that is just fear.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen that with my clients as well, that all of them started out fearful, but because we have the community and I'm working with them every single week, then they've been able to maintain that positive mindset. And most of them, they've either maintained their business or they've grown through this period. And some of them have even started to put up their pricing, and people have been paying that. And they're like, wow, they've tiered their pricing so that they can feel more comfortable having this higher ticket offer. And it's proven worth it because people are paying. So you just still have to carry on and get out there, and don't let your insecurities and feelings sort of make assumptions for what other people are going to do as well. So this sense of lack seems to be, would you say that's one of the most common areas of the fear and this lack of money? Is that something that affects a lot of women?
Well, it's definitely one of them, and it's a biggie. Scarcity mentality. And scarcity mentality comes from 99.9% of the time, it's inherited from your family. You've grown up thinking there's not enough. You've grown up thinking, I know my mother-in-law used to do, I used to throw the Marmite jar away and she would take it out the dirt bin and tell me it's not finished, and scrape the little bits out with a spoon, because she had got that from her mother, who had been in the war times where there was lack and there was no food. Yeah. So a lot of the things that we do comes from what we've seen our parents do. And when you look around and actually observe, so many people are rushing around. A lot of the women, they're rushing around, they're thinking about what's happening next, as opposed to actually being present. They will actually notice their behavior. And a lot of the time, think about women that hoard. There's so many women that hoard. I might need this. Where does it come from? You're holding on to it because, why? Because either you've grown up without it and you've got it now, so you want it, or a fear of losing it. Maybe you've lost things in your life, or your parents have lost their home. I speak to a lot of women whose parents have lost a home, or through a divorce, or fathers gambled. There's been so many different stories, and they hold on to enormous amounts of things that they don't actually need. It all comes from scarcity mentality. It all comes, for me, the food was a scarcity mentality. The shopping was because of scarcity. I've got the money now, I need to spend it now, I might not have it next month. The kids didn't eat the pasta, can't throw it in the bin. There's starving children in Africa, put it in my mouth. That's scarcity mentality, as opposed to throw it in the bin.
So is there a way to turn this around? Is there a tool that people can, or a way to recognize that that's the trap they're in right now and start to move away from that?
The first thing to do is to understand what it is that's going on. To know now what's going on, and then to find out where it came from. Where did it start? Does it serve you? Can you turn it around? Can you turn these beliefs around? A lot of them are myths. A lot of our parents have told us money is dirty. Yes, money is dirty if you see often what a note looks like. It's gone through how many people's hands before it's in your wallet. One of my clients told me she only has credit card because money is dirty. But money is also, and I said to her, well, go to the bank and ask for fresh notes and put that in your wallet, so that you've got money in your wallet, that you know, or in your purse, that you know that you have an abundance. Because when you open your wallet and there's no money, then you feel a sense of lack. A lot of the time, we've been told stories by our parents, like money doesn't grow on trees. Well, actually it does, but there isn't a money tree outside. So what are they telling you? Money is really, really hard to get. Money doesn't come to you easily. I always tell my clients, while you sleep, they're printing money somewhere. So there's plenty of money. A lot of the time, it's beliefs that we've been told, and we need to see where those beliefs come from, and then work with those individual myths and ideas and change them. It doesn't happen overnight. The transformation, once it starts, you keep working on it, because you probably know this, we've got 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day going on. And how much of those thoughts are based around lack or fear, as opposed to abundance?
Yeah, I heard once that 70% of those thoughts are negative, and most of them are directed at ourselves as well. So yeah, there's a lot going on in our minds that we need to start challenging. And I get my clients to write them down for a day. Just write any thought that comes up, don't judge it, just write it down. And suddenly when you see it on paper, you start to realize, well, that's not true, or why am I thinking that? Well, that's just crazy. And suddenly you can, and then as you say, ask, are these thoughts serving me? If not, just let them go. And I think that was the biggest mindset lesson I had. It was probably, I think, about 6 years ago. And I was working with this mindset expert, and he said, all these events that you keep replaying in your mind that from the past, and I had quite a few just silly things that I did when I was a child, that I just was disappointed by myself, and I was replaying them all the time. He said, well, is that helping you right now, or is it going to help you move forward? And if not, if it's not serving you, let it go. And so that I can do that. I can just choose not to let these thoughts bother me and leave them in the past. I was like, okay. And I did. And it was amazing.
Yeah, yeah,
Literally in like 5 minutes, just one decision.
yeah.
These thoughts are not going to bother me anymore. And then I had so much more mind space
Yes,
to look forward and start building a more positive mindset and way of thinking that was going to serve me in the future. And it transformed everything. And I was like, wow, it was just such a revelation that we can choose our thoughts.
totally. I always say, I mean, I always say money gives you choices. You know, money gives you opportunities to create abundance, but you have a power over it to choose the thoughts that you think in as well. You know, they're your thoughts. They're not anybody else's thoughts. If they're someone else's thoughts, they shouldn't be in your head.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was interesting. I really can't remember who said this anymore. And it was a shame because it's really been a very interesting perspective that I've shared quite a lot. And it was this guy, and he said, you know, if you aim to earn anything less than $1 million a year, you're being selfish, because you may not need that money, but just think what good you can do with that money. And the interesting thing about women when they come into abundance and have money is that they invest in their family, they invest in the community, they invest in freeing up their own time so they can use their expertise in positive ways. So when we earn more money, it actually benefits the wider society. It's not being selfish or greedy. And I think that's something that we've a lot of us have grown up with these feelings about money, that it's not a good thing to have too much money.
Yeah.
Whereas in fact we can challenge that, and it's been proven that particularly in the hands of women, money can do an awful lot of good for a lot of people.
Totally. I had a client yesterday on a discovery call, and she said to me, I don't want to be rich. And I said, I do. I said, first of all, I am rich. I see myself as rich. I have everything that I need. I said, but I do because I know exactly what you said, that I can do good when I have an abundance. I mean, a lot of people that know me know that I had 2 girls living with me for 2 years who were on scholarship from Nepal. And I can bless them. And when I get calls from them, I'm able to help them, to give them what they need, because I have an abundance. And I just think that there's so many, and I mean, not only girls, but boys as well, of children that just don't have basic things like education and food. And by being rich, you can do so much. I'm not saying I'm going to go and buy a flashy sports car or something like that. I don't even have a car. Got rid of my car because I don't use it. I've got a tram 2 minutes from my house. But literally, so many people say, and like this lady said yesterday, I don't want to be rich. And that is stuff that we've heard growing up, that the rich people are evil, the rich people are nasty, they're unkind. I've met some very, very lovely, kind, rich people. So it's all myths.
Yes.
And a lot of the mindset is inherited from myths.
Yeah, I think that's so true. And but it's not always so easy to challenge your own myths, but it's good to start recognizing them and then just think about, well, where's that come from? Is that really true? Is it helpful? Is it helping me to move forward? Is it kind? And then anything that isn't helpful anymore, just choose to let it go.
Exactly.
Ilana, what would be your top tips for the listeners out there who are recognizing themselves in a lot of what you're saying and thinking, what can I do about this? What would you share with them?
Okay. Definitely my number one tip is know your worth. Know that you are deserving. Know that there is more than enough to go around, and know that you have access to it. It's a mindset. The next one is getting control of your unconscious spending. So many women spend so unconsciously, unconscious sounds like you're passed out, subconsciously, where you're actually spending without even needing what you've just purchased, or because you can. So many of my clients tell me that they go onto Zalando before they even get their foot out of bed in the morning. I've told them, if you've got debt, cancel the app on your phone, don't have it. So there's so much unconscious spending going on that a lot of the time you don't need. So as I said before, that money's still yours. Put it away in your pension, or put it better use of it than to just spend for the sake of spending. The next one is, if you're in business, to delegate and ask for help. We all aren't strong in all the different areas, and often we need help with different things. Collaborate. I always talk about the 3 C's. Collaborate, connect with other people, and create something. So ask for help. Very, very important is build an emergency fund. Mm-hmm. If something happens, we're in this COVID-19 space at the moment and people aren't working. Imagine the people that aren't working, like the places that are closed, that you've actually put away 6 months or a year's salary in a savings account. How would that serve you now? So start today, whatever amount it is, and put savings for an emergency away. It could be your car, it could be something that happens that you need the money. So that's definitely one really something I want to really, everybody can take away from here, is start today to save even a little amount. And then another one is just to seek opportunities, to not let fear hold you back from moving forward in your business. Seek opportunities, be visible so that people can find you.
I love that. Amazing tips. Thank you so much. And I think when you're in action, you're feeling grateful, you're doing something positive, you're moving into action, then fear doesn't really play a part in that. Fear is always future focused. It's never kind of here and alive in the present. So as long as you're focused on that, then you free yourself up for a lot more opportunity, as you say. Amazing tips. Thank you so much, Ilana. I'm going to put your contact details below in the page, but for anyone who's listening to this podcast while cooking or out walking, how can people get in touch with you?
mindformoneycoaching.com, and there's an awesome quiz on my website that people can take where they will see which archetypes are driving their behavior. And if they want to chat with me, a free discovery call just to tell them, direct them where they are now, where things that they can concentrate on, I'm very happy to do that.
Fantastic. What a wonderful offer. I think I'm going to take that quiz as well. I'm very curious. Thank you so much for your time today, Ilana. And I know our listeners have definitely taken away a lot. And yeah, thank you so much.
It's a pleasure. Thank you. And thank you for having me.